Hello and welcome back to another video tutorial here at Geekatplay Studios. My name's Gary Miller, and today I had a message sent to me, a private message over at Renderosity. Someone wanted to know how to make rope conform to the effects of weight and gravity. So created this little setup scene here. I got, well, I guess this could be a wall or a building, and I created some little anchors here or eye bolts, and created a rope that goes in between that shows you that gravity and weight are definitely having an impact upon it. And that's the project that we're going to set out to duplicate today. Let me hide that and we will get started. Let's jump right in and switch to a top view. I'm going to, instead of changing my top view from perspective, I'm going to come over here and choose that top view. There we are. I'm going to come over here to lines, and to create my rope I want to select this little icon right here, Interpolated Curve, and zooming in on my anchor point I'm going to click here. Now as I start creating points by clicking, it's going to be difficult to create a straight line, so what I want to do is hit my space bar. And now, as you notice, this will constrain the movement of this tool along a horizontal axis. If I hit my spacebar again, it constrains it to a vertical axis. And if I click it again, it's just kind of a free roam movement. But I want to constrain it to the horizontal axis, so I hit my spacebar again. All right, so I created an anchor point here. In between the span of these two objects, I'll click again, and on top of this anchor point I'll click a final time, and I'm going to validate that. Now I'm going to come down here, come back to my perspective. Whoops. Let me raise this up. Okay, so there is our rope, but it doesn't look very realistic. So what I'm going to do is click on this little line right here, which is my control line. And by doing that, you notice it gives us a yellow line across here. Our regular line, interpolated line that we created is still there, but now we've also got this yellow line. I'm going to come up here to select points, and this was the center point that we created. I want to move this in the center of my object, and I can do that by looking at this this green little rhombus here. I'm going to move it to the center. Okay, now in order to create gravity, just move it down. And what I am doing is I'm controlling this yellow control line that is linked to the curve that we created. So I'm really controlling the yellow thing. That's why we're on the control handle here. And the line, the rope, is just following along. And that's how you can affect it. Now let's add a little effect of wind also. So I'm just going to curve it out a little bit. So now we've got weight and gravity pulling it down this way, and now we've got wind that is driving it this direction. And I'm happy with that. I'm going to come up here to surface modeling, click on thickness, and I got to abort that. Let me disable my dynamic geometry. Okay, now I'll come up here to thickness, and let's see, I'll put in 80. That'll work. Okay, so we've got a realistic little piece of rope that's hanging between two anchor points, and wind is affecting it. Add a little color so you can see it a little bit easier. And I think that looks pretty good. But that was rather easy, so I'm going to delete that rope. I'm going to hide my buildings. I got another setup here that'll demonstrate a little bit more what this tool can do. And I've just got 3 pipes that I intentionally distributed at different intervals here because I want our rope to hang differently as it contacts each one of them. So I'm going to switch over here to a top view, Zoom out a little bit. Alright, I'm going to come back up here to my lines. I'm going to select Interpolated Curve. What I want to do is constrain the movement along the horizontal axis here. On my left pipe, I'm going to click here, and I'll click again there. The important thing I want to focus in on is right at the edge of my pipe I want to click, in the center I want to click again, and at the other edge I want to click. Now in the middle between the span of these two pipes I want to create another click, and click on that edge, click in the center, click on that edge. In between the distance of these two pipes I'll click in the middle. I'm going to click on that edge, click on the center, and rather than click on this end, I'm just going to click over there, and you'll see why when we work through this. I'm going to come back to a perspective view, and let me just bring this up where it's supposed to be. Okay, there we are. I'm going to, just like before, I'm going to click on my control little tab here. I'm going to select points, and I want to select that middle one. There we are. And I'm just going to drag it down. Probably not that much. I want to have a different effect on each one. I'm going to select that middle one. This one I want to drag down a lot. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to the, remember I created a point on the edges. I want to select these two here on the edge, and I'm just going to drag them down, and notice it starts conforming to the shape of my pipe. I'll expand out a little bit. There we are. I'll click the center one and drag that down, and as you see it's starting to conform to the shape of my pipe very nicely. I'll select these two. I'm just going to rotate them and drag them down. And this is starting to really look pretty good. This one could come over. Maybe this one could come over a little bit. Okay, I will, let me see, which one was that? That one was the center one. Okay, I want to select the control point on that end, select the control point on that end, and I'm just going to drag them down a little bit and then expand them out. Come over here, drag that one down. Okay, oh, this definitely needs some adjustment to it. Let's move that down a little bit. As you start to see, this is really easy to get it to look pretty realistic. Okay, well this is not realistic at all. This is not how rope would behave. It seems as though we need another control line in here, which we can do very easily. I'm going to come up here to Insert Points, click on that, and on my yellow control line I'll add another one here and another one there. Now I've increased my ability to control this a little bit more by increasing the number of points that I have created. And I'll just drag that down. Of course, the more points you have, the more you can control the shape of your object. Now let me click off of it and zoom out a little bit, see how this looks. And geez, that looks that looks pretty good. Looks like weight and gravity are definitely having their effect on this. Okay, I'm going to select that. I'm going to duplicate it. and move it right over there. I guess I'll hide it for now. Come back to my original one. I'm going to click on this little lightning bolt here, disable dynamic geometry. Come over here to surface modeling, click on thickness, and I guess that's a good number. And the number of points, 8, I'm going to leave that as it is. And let's have a look at it. And that looks darn good. The shape of it really gives the impression that it is conforming to wind and weight and gravity. So let me just create a color for that. Now let me come over here to the copy that I created. Disable that. Click on thickness. Now I'm going to do something different here. The number of points, at least my default is 8. I'm going to bring this down to 5. Say OK to that. Create a color for it, and let's create something a little darker than my first one. Okay, I'm going to click off both of those. Now if you look at them, they have the exact same profile. They have the same shape. The only, well, you know what, this one is a lot thicker. I'm going to back up and make it as closer to the other one as I can. There we are. Now I'll assign a new color to it, something darker. Give a fair comparison between these. Alright, at this distance you don't really see that there is a great difference in the number of polygons. I'm going to do an ambient occlusion render, and you really don't see that there is a difference in the number of polygons between the two of them. However, the one that I had created that had 8 points to it, notice over here it has 896 faces, or 896 polygons to it. The second one that had 5 points that I had selected, that has 560 points to it. The reason for my doing this is that if your model has a lot of these, then you are going to start really bumping up the number of polygons in your model, in your modeling project, very quickly. And if you are not going to be viewing these up close, then the resolution of them really doesn't have to be very high, and you can easily, very easily get away with lowering their polygon count, because if you're creating like a large model of apartment buildings or tenement halls, tenement buildings where the residents will have these clotheslines strung between the buildings, you might end up having to create a lot of these. And if you create them in a high resolution manner, you're really going to start cranking up the polygon count of your model that is already probably pretty high because of all the intricate detail that will have to go into creating the building. So I'm just illustrating here that you can get away with making them fairly low in polygon count and have them look nearly or identically the same, and save on your polygon count at the same time. And if you're familiar with how polygons render, the fewer polygons that you are rendering overall, the faster your image will render. So here is simulating weight and gravity and the forces of the elements, wind, in creating ropes right here in Hexagon. So thanks for watching here at Geekatplay Studios. My name's Gary Miller. Have a good day.